Good evening, good evening. Welcome everybody from the planet. Time is 8:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, I'm going to share a video from a local news station, WDRB Channel 41 is Fox. You all remember I done a video on that African American lady. I think her name was Miss Anderson that killed her, I think, 5-year-old son and put her in a suitcase and dumped him over in Washington County, Indiana. This was on WDRB News today in the last couple of hours. And I want to bring it up to you. You know, you ain't going to believe it. I can't believe it. But I leave it up to you all. I just hope everything goes well for me.
Do this first thing in the morning. Just strip off
accused of killing her son. She says she's innocent and says there are people who need her love and protection right now. It's the latest. Until after she was arrested more than a year later. Therefore, she says she didn't know there was a warrant out for her arrest. She maintains her innocence, saying she has very important people that need her love, protection, and safeguard right now. More documents filed Monday afternoon, handwritten, asking for the state to pay her $31 million in damages and losses, $63,000 for her apartment, including $20,000 for an Oriental cat that was a special breed with 6 toes. She's also asking for the because of the quote
Princess representing the entity, John Anderson.
Anderson has been fighting to represent herself since she was first in court 2 months ago. Judge Larry Medlock ordered psych exams before he will allow that.
Ms. Anderson, for the record, would you state your full name, please?
We spoke with a forensic psychologist who has no connection to the case and wasn't asked for an evaluation by the court. After watching that initial hearing, she said Anderson didn't appear.
She's referring to herself as like an ethereal body, which makes me
So people, it's stupid. I had to bring it up. I think she's trying to do that she's crazy. I had to bring it up because I got a whole lot of views on it from WDRB TV, Louisville, Kentucky. And she killed her 5-year-old kid about 2 years ago. And a guy in Washington County was out mushroom hunting, found this big suitcase, and the police was called. The Washington County Sheriff was called. The Indiana State Police was called. Man, how she said, she getting abused in jail, this and that. Them other women probably think she's nutty as a fruitcake. And if that was the case, and she said what's going on, there've been other lawsuits. They might have her in solitary confinement because she's suicidal. And that warrant being for her arrest, it was in a computer probably 2 years at the time they arrest her. So she's full of it. She's full of it. I decided to put that picture up there instead of the birdie from StreamYard in the memory of my mother, Margaret Cartwright, my dad, Robert Cartwright, of Mason Lodge 226 out of Charlestown, Indiana, and my mom, who was, you could say she was a school teacher, and she taught piano and organ lessons at the house Monday through Saturday. You hear me complain, people. I was a mean SOB when I was a young kid. I started drinking alcohol at 12 years old, smoking Mary Jane, blotter acid, stuff like that. But people, knock on wood, I've been sober from both of them 25 plus years. I didn't have to go to the doctor or psychiatrist with my alcohol and drug problem. During the summer, I drank beer and stuff like that. Then, close to getting cold weather, I switched over to hard liquor. It got to the point drinking whiskey and gin and vodka and all that, it didn't faze me. You all heard of Everclear. And Everclear, I think it's about 200 proof. I got me 2 pints of it. Well, after that, I decided to quit. I quit smoking marijuana. Every time I drink, I smoke cigars with it. But I think I really got real sick. I've been watching this YouTube video. I think it's Lisa or Kiab Forge. And people giving her money where she can go out and buy her drugs, alcohol, Kia Forge, Forge or something. I forget what else she goes by. I request that you all stop sending her money to buy her drugs and alcohol. She got a couple of kids that's over 18 that done left. The other kids she got, CPS stepped in, took the kids away. She don't want to stop. You all keep sending her money, she's going to keep it up, end up killing herself. Man, to me, my kids is important to me, people. They're very important. So I just want to let you know about it. I'm going to probably do some more. I want any of you out there, I'm asking you all for some help. I told you about my 4 heart attacks / strokes. To me, it's the same, but I was told heart attack and strokes 2 different things. You all know better than that. I'm not a doctor. Okay, when I first bought this house, 5 years plus, somebody gave me a John Deere rider. It lasted about 2 years. and the mower deck that John Deere locked up. The bearings to go in them mower decks, probably about $100. I give or take a little. I traded that in, plus my Ford Ranger I had. You saw a video of that. I miss my Ford Ranger because people always need a pickup truck. I miss my pickup truck because you always need to haul stuff, and you can't haul it in the car. That's one thing my goal is about YouTube. Well, I can get me another pickup truck, like an S10 or a Ford Ranger standard cab with a standard transmission. Not a new one. I would love to have a new one, but in full coverage insurance is kind of high. So here's something I need real bad that I'm asking you all for help that I need is another riding lawnmower, like a zero turn, another Troy built, kind of new. It'd be under warranty where I don't have to pay to fix it. If it's under warranty, it'll that means no money coming out of my pocket. I showed you in the backyard on the south side of my house where there's 2 sheds. I'm going to take the other metal shed down and redo it. But I like to have a zero turn. There's an Ace Hardware store in Scottsburg, Indiana. I said Scottsburg, Indiana, Ace Hardware store. I'd say I can't afford it. I know money's tight, but I'm thinking of my heart. I'm thinking about my children. What would they do without me? What will the grandkids do without me? What will all these kitty cats do without me? What will the hummingbirds do without me? I showed you that I had one hummingbird. If I've always seen, if there's one hummingbird, you got 2. So you can look Ace Hardware in Scottsburg, Indiana. I like to see somebody to buy me a zero turn. It could be the cheapest one or the commercial type gasoline engine. Commercial type, I've always known it built a little bit better. So if you got an Ace Hardware in your state or your county, you can tell them that there's an Ace Hardware store in Scottsburg, Indiana. If I pay you, can they in Scottsburg, Indiana, deliver a Hustler zero turn? But I leave it up to you all to decide. It's your money. And I like to have a zero turn. I never had one of them. I had a John Deere, and this Troy built. It was given to me. I just put the solenoid on it today and got working on my mower deck, kind of at the bottom of it, kind of is pull it out a little bit where the blade wouldn't hit it, put the belt back on. So I started it up, turned the blades on, it started smoking. Guess what? The blankety blank belt went to pieces. I put it on like I've always did. But I don't know what happened. I'm getting sick and tired of every year putting a solenoid or a starter or this on. I don't put the charger on it when it's hooked up to the toy belt. I take the battery out and bring it in, put it on slow charge, then I put it back in. When I put a solenoid on, I disconnect the battery and take it out, and solenoid, this and that, put it all back together, and I'm getting sick and tired of it. I'm kind of hurting. If it's in your power, if you can afford it. I know there's some rich people out there in the world. God to tell you to do it if you believe in God. Because remember, people, one day you didn't have that money. Somebody helped you out. You repaid them back with kindness. I appreciate what they done for you. People, I'm 70 plus years old. And heart attacks, 4 of them. Heart attacks slash stroke. I got diabetes. I got high blood pressure. I live on a fixed income, $800 to $900 a month. I live on a budget. Everybody has to live on a budget. And I'm sorry, but people, I don't know what to do. That solenoid at Ace Hardware in Scottsburg with tax and everything was $10 and something. If there's a way that I'd say I can't make any more payments. I got too many payments right now. So I just can't afford a new lawnmower. I'm looking for something. It has a warranty on it. Anything breaks on it, the warranty covers it. But I take whatever you all decide from Ace Hardware. That's in Scottsburg, Indiana. And if you got an Ace Hardware, you can check with your state how much it costs there Ace Hardware in Scottsburg, Indiana. And they got my address on file there with my name, Tom Cartwright. I bought a weed eater. I forget the model of it. It got like the motorcycle grip. They got my name on file if you want to do it. But every time I go use the push more people, that hurts me. There's a 50-50 chance that I could have a heart attack. You know, that's how come I got on YouTube. Not really to make money, but to help me out the things that I need in the house. You know, because my budget, I can't afford a new lawnmower. I know I'm talking to myself, but that's okay. I want to say hi to Steak. That's a YouTube channel, Steak, Steak, Steak. And I couldn't live stream the DUI guy today on a Karen Reed murder trial because I had things I have to do. They're off tomorrow. Wednesday, I probably can. But I know Larry Foreman talked about the copyright stuff. I'm not making no money off of it because I don't have 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 watch hours since YouTube is messing with everybody's YouTube channel in the last 30 days or so. You know, if you hit the thumbs up, nothing pops up. It's still zero. So YouTube got either a bug or something. But your help would be appreciate, people. If I could get that lawnmower. There's a shop down the road from me. He works on it. He's a diesel mechanic. I might see how much he would charge me to put a new motor belt on it and a new drive belt. I say it'd be over $100, which I ain't got. And that's how come I'm asking for you all's help. And check with cat food at this place where I went today, which is Tractor Supply in Salisbury, Indiana, on a pallet. 20 bags of cat food. They don't deliver. So that means you have to pay somebody $50 to $100 to deliver it. At least 20, it has to be at least 20 bags. You get a little discount. So, if I had a pickup truck, I load them 20 bags in the back of a pickup truck. But I don't have a pickup truck. All I'm worrying about right now, people, is a riding lawnmower. Either Troy built or zero turn, which Ace Hardware has Hustler. People said, well, if you're going to get your zero turn, get your commercial. Everything's better on a commercial type, and it is a regular yard one because you got the bar on the back of it, and plus your seat belt. If you turn over, you got that bar up. When you flipped over, you won't get hurt. You got the seat belt on and all this. I'm thinking about my age. So I'm leaving it up to you all people. And I know, this is not a scam. That's how come I done videos on my family medical history, because I got kids scattered all over the planet. I was a young, stupid kid when I was young. But parents, do videos. That way your kids will know your medical history of the mother and father in case something happens to you. They know it. They also, by you doing the video, it'll show the kids what mama and daddy looks like. I'm thinking about you all and your kids' safety, to help them out. Because, I felt kind of strange. I got sick and up in the hospital. I don't know if that was my gallbladder or tonsils or what it was. They asked about family history. And I told them I was adopted. I said, I don't know that much about my family history. This good looking lady came in. I can't remember if she was a doctor or a nurse. She adopted a child. I said, kids is smart. They can look at mommy, they can look at daddy, look themselves in the mirror, said, I don't look like mommy, I don't look like daddy. They're gonna know. Your parents can tell your child or children, how many you adopted, said your mommy gave you up for adoption because she wanted a better life for you. Any kid would love to have a better life. So that's something. You're not talking bad about their mother or anything. You're saying your mother gave you up to have a better life for you. So I'm looking for a video on YouTube. Ouch, my shoulder. So I'm going to try to find some videos a woman of you. Okay, here's one that was 3 years ago, people. So a woman shares domestic violence story in hope of helping others. So I'm hoping. So let's go back to the live studio of StreamYard. And I want to share this with you. It's a TV station, I believe. It's only about 3 minutes and 32
to an abusive
seconds.
relationship in hopes of saving others. Thanks for joining us at 5:30, everybody. I'm Yolanda Harris.
And I'm Tracy Townsend. 10 TV's Stephanie Stanovich has the details, and we have to warn you, they might be graphic for some.
There's this whole scar right through here.
A constant reminder to Valerie Cornett of a horrific experience she lived through.
No, he had never hit me before.
But she says one day in April, that changed.
And that day he was acting very furtive and just different, like he was on edge.
She says her ex-boyfriend, John Chaney, who is now facing charges of assault and kidnapping, attacked her. She threatened to call the police.
And then pulled a gun on me and told me that he would shut me up. And as I was trying to retrieve my phone is when he turned around and busted me in the face. I don't know how many times. I know for sure 2 at least.
Cornett says her son was in the room and Chaney's 2 kids.
When you're in a situation like that, you're in survival mode.
Cornett didn't go to the hospital until 12 hours later. She told them she fell, but had a feeling they didn't believe her.
And that's when they found the skull fractures and the fractures in my face and the concussion and a back contusion.
A week went by. On the 13th, he dropped off her son at daycare. He took his kids. That's when she says police were called.
It was like, he's running.
Cornett shared her story on social media in hopes of helping others.
You can reach out to me. You can ask me about my essential oil products, and that tells me that you're in a DV situation or you're worried about it, and I'll keep checking on you. If they're in danger, I'll do whatever I can for them, or create a woman's group where we can just watch out for one another at the end of the day, because it's not just our lives, it's our kids' lives.
Reporting in Columbus, Stephanie Stanovich, 10 TV News.
Police arrested Chaney in May in Kentucky this week. Chaney's bond was set at $250,000.
Well,
So, people, I hate stuff like that. I know you all hate it. And I want to find some more, because I like to get this out. I got to find a good one, but here's one that's done. Dangerous Silence Domestic Violence Documentary. Now, I like this one better. Care worker caught by hidden camera abusing an elderly woman with dementia. That was 4 months ago. I need to get this out. This happens everywhere, people. You know, about a minute 24.
Ew, disgusting. Very bad places. But this one is one of the worst ones.
I hope them SOBs is in jail.
Stop it.
Look how they're abusing this senior citizen. Look what he's doing. If it ain't the 2 women, it's the men. Bye, bye. It should have spent more time and that in jail, people. That that pissed me off. Excuse my French. This happens everywhere, even in nursing homes. Yeah. So like I said, there's men that gets abused too. There's one from Dr. Phil. I can't do that because it's copyrighted. That got to be more out there. Let's see if I can find anything on the signs. Well, if I knew how to. Okay, here's one. So I told you I do some on abuse and all this. Because we need education, people.
Affection, attention, work.
Back that up. So,
cycle of abuse, why we can get stuck in it, why it's so stigmatized, and what we can do to free ourselves. If you're new here, my name is Katie Morton. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I talk about abuse, trauma, eating disorders, depression, all things mental health related. So if you'd like to subscribe, we would love to have you. I promise you we'll always leave with some
there's
helpful
a
information for you or for someone
right
that you love.
here.
Subscribing really helps creators doing what we do. Okay, let's jump into this topic.
I do not own the rights to it. So
The cycle of
go to her
abuse
channel.
was a theory that was developed in 1979 by Lenore Walker. And what you should know about it is it's cycles. It's cycle. And briefly, I'm going to explain to you how it works. Now, there's this tension building phase, and that's actually the longest phase, because this is when we feel like we're walking on eggshells, like trying not to upset them, trying not to cause the abuse to happen again. And it will build and build and build and build until we reach the precipice and the incident occurs, which is when the abuse happens. Okay, so something happens, they've harmed us in some way. Let's say we're in a domestic violence type of situation. So let's say my partner hits me. So that incident happens. And then immediately we fall into what's known as the reconciliation or honeymoon period, where, oh, he says, I'm so sorry, it'll never happen again. And maybe make some excuses like things have just been really stressful and I didn't realize I was under so much pressure. And
Ladies, they said, when he says it won't happen again, don't believe him. 9 chances out of 10, it'll keep going on until he puts you in the hospital or put you in the grave. It's not your fault, ladies. It's not your fault at all. It's his.
took it out on you just because I love you so much. They might even shower us with gifts or take us out to dinner, take us on dates and things like that. That's why they kind of call it this honeymoon period, right? So we've gone from tension building, incident, honeymoon period, and then the last is calm. And As things progress, there's a lot of conversation around whether calm is a stage of it or not. And some people, it is gone. There's no calm. We go right back into tension building. But for many, there is this calm phase when things kind of return, quote unquote, back to normal. The one part that's the hardest for people to understand is how can we get stuck in this cycle, right? If I feel this tension building in my relationship and then they harm me, why wouldn't I just leave? Well, the thing that we're forgetting is that having someone we love hurt us really erodes at our self-esteem and our confidence. Not to mention, think of like love bombing. We've talked about love bombing in the past in relation to narcissistic abuse, and that is when someone showers us like over the top with affection, attention, words of affirmation. They compliment us, they give us gifts, they take us on expensive trips, they can do all of this stuff. It's a love bomb, right? It can be like a fog. We can't even see out of it. And it's done as a manipulation tactic. And that's an important key because people can be loving and affectionate. There's nothing wrong with that. But love bombing is done so that we essentially can't see straight. And we just are so overwhelmed with all the attention, affection, the gifts, everything, that we just can't help but think that that person's amazing, right? So we can be kind of in this fog, not able to see clearly. And then when that person that we think loved us so dearly harms us, we can believe them when they say it won't happen again. Or we can think that we've done something wrong, right? And as this abuse continues, it slowly erodes at our self-esteem and our confidence. If we grew up in an abusive home, we're almost used to this cycle and that tension building feeling. And even though it might be, or it is unhealthy, but it might be comfortable to us, right? And so we can find ourselves in those patterns of behavior, finding the same relationships that we honestly tried to probably get away from growing up. And I also want to mention that a lot of times when we're in these types of abusive relationships, they will try to isolate us from our friends and family. A lot of times they'll tell us they don't have your best interest in heart, or they'll bring up like an old hurt because you've told them about something maybe a friend said or did, or a family member, didn't show up for me and it really hurt my feelings. They'll use these secrets or past events as like weapons so that you end up without anybody around you and are fully dependent upon them. Now, being in an abusive relationship, unfortunately, is incredibly stigmatized. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, what? That doesn't make any sense. But just take a minute with me. Consider what you would think if one of your close friends came to you and told you that they were in an abusive relationship. What would your reaction be? What if they then told you that they love that person, they weren't ready to
I'd
leave
be
them?
mad
Would
as
you
a
judge them?
hornet.
You might. And I think a lot of us don't recognize the assumptions that we make about these types of situations because we haven't been in them ourselves, and we don't know what it's like to have someone that we care for deeply, who we think cares for us deeply, harm us. That type of pain and kind of like incongruence, right? Like things aren't making sense. It just doesn't make sense, right? We have that cognitive dissonance. It's just like battling it out. It can be hard for us to see straight, and we can believe them when they say they won't do it again. So just pay attention and be aware of the fact that when someone is in an abusive situation, it's not because they want to be. It's not that they made this choice. They found themselves in this situation and they don't know all the time people saying, oh, I would never let that happen to me, or like, must be so, even my friends say, oh, what's really good abuse in an abusive situation. Because if someone does decide to share what they're going through, that's a huge step. And what we need to meet them with is, I'm so sorry you're going through that. How can I help? So just try to be aware and then offer your assistance however they need it. And finally, and arguably most importantly, how do we free ourselves from this situation if we find ourselves in it? And the first is to make a plan and do so as safely as possible. Don't write it down and put it somewhere where they could find it. Don't keep it on your phone in a place where they can just tap and open it. We want to make sure that as we put these plans in motion, that it's done safely and securely. We want to make sure we have a financial plan. How are we going to get out? If we have to put gas in the car, if we have to feed our children, or if we have to get into a hotel, or just consider the cost so that you can slowly and hopefully without them noticing, save up some money. Is there anybody else we can ask for support? Let's put this plan together, think it through in as many ways as possible so you can safely get out. The next step is going to be to get safe support. That might just be a therapist at one of, a domestic violence clinic. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of safe houses around in communities. We might find support that way. Or we might, if we feel like we can, want to reach back out to those people that they originally isolated us from, like friends or family members. Can we reach out to people and get the support that we need so that we're reminded, because we're going to question ourselves, maybe I'm making this into more than it is. Maybe it's really not that bad. This is going to be scary. I don't know if I can do this. I don't want to be alone. There can be a lot swirling. I still love them, right? We want to make sure that we have other people there to validate and support and acknowledge, let us know, kind of remind us, hey, you're minimizing this. This was a big deal. You do deserve to get out of there and feel okay. We're going to need that support around us. And finally, we need to keep getting support even when we're out of that relationship, because unfortunately, if we aren't working through it and aware of our role, I'm not saying you're responsible for the abuse. I'm just saying we each have our own role in a relationship, and your role might be, I only know abuse. And so I keep, for some reason, seeking out people that are abusive. We need to be able to acknowledge that and work through the reason that exists, which might mean we have to heal from some past trauma. And maybe it's safer for us for a little while to not date and to just spend time with friends and family. We're going to need that extra support so that we can break the cycle. That's kind of why they call it the cycle of abuse. It's not just that like tension building incident, honeymoon phase and calm. It can also be the cycle we can find ourselves in. We're like, oh, I keep getting in the same relationship and it keeps turning out the same. We can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. We're going to have to acknowledge our own behavior and role in it, because that's all we have control over, right? And then we can take the ownership back. We can change the things that we used to do. We can pick people that maybe, aren't our type, and find ourselves in what we deserve, which is a healthy, happy, abuse-free relationship. I hope you found that helpful. At the very least, I hope it just made you more aware of maybe your own assumptions or stigmatizations that you had associated with abusive relationships. But if you think I left anything out or you want to share your own story, please feel free to do that in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Okay, people. See right there, her name, Kait Morton.
Recordings just got better.
So,
hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to recordings are now available on StreamYard. Have you ever done a recording where your guest just had terrible internet issues? They were blurry, they were free. StreamYard. You'll be able to download.
see, I told you, ladies, it's not your fault. There's So, like I say, ladies, it's not your fault. I showed you a couple of videos about abused women, and this one, you heard what she said. Make sure you go to her YouTube channel and subscribe to her channel. Most of these is copyrighted. But how else can I get that out there to you all to help you? I just hope YouTube don't get me a copyright strike because of that. You can go on YouTube and find the signs of abused women. You can look it up. Like she said, like this young lady said, make your plan. You heard when she said, don't write it down or put it on your cell phone or your computer where your mate can find it. It'll make it worse. Keep it in your head. Or a girlfriend that that maybe don't like your husband or something. Make sure you go to the hospital. Make sure you call 911. If you can't call 911, you can text 911 and do it. That way, he won't know that you're calling the police. You can bring up text, like do what 911 or however you do that. But I'm giving you some ideas, ladies. It's not your fault, and I've seen it in my. Like I said, I'm 70 plus years. It's hard to remember when you was a baby, but I'm gonna say 65 years. I've seen it. I see it today. And this woman from Scott County, Indiana, up the road from me, she's being abused. I ain't gonna describe her, the vehicle she drives, what she looks like. I said her age is probably in the 30s. I said, why don't you leave him? She told me, said, if I leave him, he'll kill me and my kids. That is a sick, what. Going to kill your own kids. Ladies, if you got kids, they see it. When they start dating, they're going to think that's how they treat a woman or a man. It's time to break the cycle. You heard her plans on the 3 steps you have to take. You need to call 911. If you can't do it, text 911 and tell them what's going on. You're afraid to talk and give them your address. You can text it all in and let the police know where the subject is. It's abusing you. You got to have police reports. You got to have hospital reports and all this. I know you love the SOB. I've heard it so many times. Oh, I love him. I can't live without him. This and that. It's not your fault, ladies. It makes me mad when a man does something like it to a lady. They say, well, he blames me for cheating on him. Lady, you still not to blame. If he'd done his damn homework, sorry for my French there, if he'd done his homework, you wouldn't cheat on him. It's only my opinion. I'm going to look at some more videos. That's just a few of them about some of the signs, what some ladies go through. Viewer description is advised on those. I told you at the beginning, because black eyes, this and that, you heard the first one I've done, what she went through. She told her side of the story. And this lady, I think she's a psychiatrist. She's getting that from her patients. It bound to be more, you know. Let's see what we can find on YouTube. Oh. You know, well, let's see. Signs, you're in abuse relationship. Send John your questions. Leave a voicemail. I'm going to throw that out. This is a year ago by Dr. John Delony, Delony show. And signs you're in an abuse relationship. Send John your questions. Leave a voicemail. I'm going to leave you the phone number. It's 844-693-3291. I repeat the phone number or voicemail number. It's 844-693-3291. So this is about a 10-minute video. Let me move it back to the beginning. There we go.
Guess what time it is, kids? It's time. Man, get your bandanas out. It's time for Facts of Your Friends. Oh, man, look at it. Like I set it up like it's. All right. So today's Facts of Your Friends, I was going to say at the outset, this one's because I'm going to leave you with some concrete steps, some concrete things to look for. But I also am going to leave you with some open-ended discussion topics. Because I'm going to be honest, I struggle with this. And I should. This is one of those things that, like, as somebody who's spent their years working with abused and traumatized people, rattle this off. And I've called some of my colleagues across the country. I have sat on the internets. I've read books. I really struggle with the definition of the word abuse. And when you say that's abuse, we all know what that is, right? It's physical abuse, it's harm, it's somebody hurting you, it's psychological abuse, it's sexual abuse, it's neglect, right? We know when we hear the word abuse, it's easy to think like, I know it when I see it, right? Like that old court case about pornography. Like, I know it when I see it, right? But as a science nerd, it's just a nerd in general, that's not good enough. I like to define it. What is it? And so, like, just a simple definition online. This is just a random place. I just typed into the Googles, what is abuse? And here's the definition. Abuse is defined as any action that intentionally harms or injures another person. That makes sense, right? So some of my discussions with my colleagues was, yeah, it's an intent to harm. It's an action that intends to hurt somebody. The reason why I balk at that is neglect is also abuse. Like the last caller we had, a dad just sitting around while his kid needs to go to the ER and he's just not even paying attention. He's just eating chips. He's not trying to hurt that kid. He couldn't care less about that kid. That's abuse. And so there's no intent there. There's just neglect. There's just complete disregard. And I would suggest that's still abuse. And here's another
My
challenge.
book is abuse.
I had a colleague once we were all having a meeting and the meeting got tense, but it was a tense meeting. But we were also laughing back and forth. And the boss said something, right? Like the highest ranking person in the room said something. And everybody's laughing. But it was like a very passive, quiet, just silly throwaway thing. And it wasn't an insult. It wasn't anything derogatory. It was just like, nah. A little while later, my colleague came out of that meeting and she was rage crying. She was shaken to her core. And the way she explained it was this incredibly abusive behavior by the boss.
See, that's his name, Dr. John here. Right
I was
here.
there. Everybody was there, men and women. And nobody saw it. In fact, we all saw the opposite. We all saw some attempts to kind of let the air out of the room and to connect. And I think it would be dismissive to suggest that her body was not in full fight or flight. Her body had moved to defend itself, to run, to freeze, to come back swinging. And so for me in my chair, to be like, it's not abuse. I don't like that either.
I don't.
It doesn't feel right.
That is
And if we create a culture where the end user, the end receiver is the person who defines abuse, you get the world we got now, where everybody's offended about everything. And, one of the cornerstones of anxiety is you got to go through it. You got to work. You got to head right into the middle of the storm. That's where healing is. But we've created a culture where everybody's anxious. It's madness. It's a moving target. So I don't like saying that every person gets to define abuse for themselves. That doesn't make sense. So I find myself in this quandary. I like the idea. I also think there's got to be some sort of boundary there. It's just such a mess. I even have to go this far as in now. Once you guys just see or guess experience, it's annoying. My wife tells me, I try to think through an argument in my mind and get all the way to the end of the argument. I can also imagine a scenario where certain behavior would be unifying in one situation and abusive in another. Right? It may be unifying to make jokes with some of my childhood friends. The very same jokes, the very same behavior may be unifying for us. And to somebody else, like my wife or a colleague, that may trigger something that happened when they were a kid, and it's very re-traumatizing, right? So I think approaching the world, I've be able to speak my needs out loud. I've got to know when my body is reacting. And I have to be willing to be hospitable and I got to be able to say, hey, I didn't mean harm. It's probably best if we don't work together. I didn't mean harm in any way. I will never say that again, do that again, make that joke. I had no idea I was neglecting you. I thank you so much for telling me. Right. So I think it's a mix of both.
No, it's never solved.
Here is, this is from choosingtherapy.com. Here's a couple of, I'm just going to run through a couple of these some signs that you may be in an abusive relationship.
Listen, lady.
Somebody's verbally abusing you. They're swearing at you. They're yelling and screaming at you. And sometimes you can abuse somebody very, very quietly. Somebody threatens violence. They threaten to withhold love. They would threaten to withhold food or safety, right? Verbal abuse. Unpredictable behaviors can be abusive, especially for kids. When they don't know what mom or dad they're going to get, whether it's going to be the rage dad or the drunk dad or the angry mom or the happy mom or the super, engaged dad. their nervous system can never stabilize. It's always toggling with this hard back and forth between the sympathetic and parasympathetic response. It becomes a mess. Cruelty to animals or others, right? Threatening behavior, forced sexual activity, or disregard for others' desire, right? You can be abusive through forcing somebody to cater to your sexual whims. It can also be abusive to withhold connectivity, weaponize it. That can hold somebody hostage. Here's a couple other ones. Financial abuse. Stealing money from the joint account, lying about expenses, making somebody go through you or go through them in order to spend money. I've heard of couples who somebody gives the other person an allowance, or they got to run every expense by you, or you don't have your own debit card or whatever, or they have their own account, right? There's financial abuse. There's taking out credit cards in your name and spending money and racking up debt that you've got to pay, right? So there's public shaming, there's harassment, there's bruises and black eyes. And by the way, there's the fight or flight or freeze response, one we don't talk about a lot. It's a trauma response, an abuse response, is fawn. I'm going to nuzzle up to you and get so close to you that you won't hit me anymore. I am going to get so close so it can look like intimacy. It can look really, really close. So I think the key here for me is anything that makes my body feel like it's got to protect itself could be abusive behavior. It's not a guarantee every time. Anything that causes my body's sympathetic nervous system to fire up, fight or flight, ready to rock and roll, could be. It might not be. It might just be that I'm really, really tired. I took that the wrong way. And that's where it's incumbent on all of us to learn what we need, to learn how to regulate our own nervous systems. I can't outsource that to everybody. I can't make that everybody's job. That's my job. And if you've experienced trauma, that means you got some work to do. You got some healing.
Go to this site, Dr. John,
if you are being abused right now, if you're in an abusive
please
relationship,
go to his channel.
call somebody. Call somebody. Call somebody. Your life has value outside of being somebody's punching bag. You're worth being loved, and you're worth more than that. Call somebody. Reach out to a local hotline if you don't have a friend. Or like the last caller, call somebody and say, I need help. Come get me. And let's make a plan for what happens next. Life's too short to be abused. And if you're abusing somebody, stop. Go get help.
So, people, you've seen it. Some of the signs. If he tells you he won't do it again, don't believe it. 'Cause they say the same thing. I won't do it again. It keeps happening, ladies. So I hope this helps some of your ladies out there. You heard what this doctor says. Subscribe to his channel where you can keep up on it. He had an email and a phone number. I gave you his phone number to leave him a voicemail. You heard these other people talk about the abuse. Ladies, I know you love him to death. There's mental abuse, as you heard him say. All kinds of abuses. So I hope it helped some of your ladies out. I do some more. It depends how many views I get and the comments and the subscribers. Let's get my subscribers up to 500. subscribers on this video. Let's see if we can get a couple of hundred watch hours out of this video, out of this stream tonight. And as I've always told you, you hear it, you see it, you report it, even child abuse. So I want to thank you all, but here's something that's important to me. I need a new lawnmower because when you start spending money and money and money to fix it, I got a Troy-Bilt rider. It's probably 5 or 10 years old when it was given to me. I'm getting tired of spending money. It breaks down. I like to have a zero turn, but they cost a whole lot of money. I could take a new Troy-Bilt rider. I have to have a rider because of my heart attacks / strokes and high blood pressure. And I know if you don't live close to me, maybe you got an Ace Hardware store where you live on the planet. See if there's some way you can buy it and the Ace Hardware store in Scottsburg can deliver it to me. They got my address on file where I bought a weed eater. I think it's a FS something. I can't remember. I hate to use my push more because it can cause me to have a heart attack or a stroke. I know you all can't afford it. And you see at the bottom of my screen, got my post office box. If you want to send me stuff like cat treats, cat small bags of cat food or canned cat food or some signs or t-shirts or a hoodie or something on it, like they do to a couple of them. If you watch What the Hell's last night. So I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. People who watch it later. It is 9:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, June the 4th of 2024. Boy, I thought it was the 3rd. See, that's what I get for being old. Can't remember what day of the week it is. So I want to thank you all. You heard the music. That is time for me to get off of here, people. Hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, then go up and get all the notifications. Let's try let's this video right here. See if they can get me 500 subscribers. I need maybe about 200 to get me to 500 subscribers. I got a Cash App where you see it scrolling on the screen. I like to get all kinds of stuff from you, like What the Hell's does, Jeremy and George, from all over the planet. You know I love cats. And I hope I can help a whole lot of people. I hope this video tonight that show you this woman who killed her child, dumped her off in Washington County, Indiana, which is Salem, Indiana. I saw it show you a short video where she's suing, which that figure it would happen. And that warrant for her arrest been out about 2 years. So, but she's probably being abused. Any of your ladies out there been in jail, if you believe like her in the Soviet nation or so, well, you all know what I mean. So I want to thank you all for showing up tonight to make comments. Hey, TB, if you're listening, Triumphs Beware. People, go to his YouTube channel. You'll like his YouTube channel. Hey, TB, if you're listening, do you want to be a moderator on my YouTube channel? Or maybe Nikki? You know, I got your email that I'm going to, I got it on my phone. I took a picture of it. So I want to thank you all. You know, I sure can use a new lawnmower, people. If you live around Scott County, if you talk on a CB radio and you hear 121 in there, he's a neighbor of mine. Now, he lives about a mile, maybe 2 miles north of me. You know, him, or, you know, if you hear, you can hear him on the CB when Skip rolls in. But if you got an Ace Hardware store in your state, you know, you could buy it through your Ace Hardware store and see if the Ace Hardware store in Scottsburg, Indiana could deliver it to me. It's Tom Cartwright or Thomas Cartwright. I forget how it's set up there when I bought that weed eater, the skilled weed eater. So, people, I can't afford a new belt. I would have to pay them, put a new belt on it, and a new drive belt. You're looking at $200 I don't have. You know, you can use my Cash App if you know how to use the Cash App. It's the $ Tom Cartwright 4375. And or you can use my post office box to send me anything you want. And just make sure if it's a cashier's check, tell me what it's for. Ace Hardware store in Scottsburg does have some used zero turns and this and that. Would I have the same problems? Only your people that works at Ace Hardware store in Scottsburg, Indiana would know. But I put the belt on and all this after I put the solenoid on, put the battery back in it, hook everything up, start it up. Well, I had to turn the valve on because if you don't turn it off, the gasoline goes into the oil. That's one thing needs to be fixed. You know, I just don't have the money, people, It's not a scam. All those evil turns, if you're looking at a hustler, because they're yellow, and I think they hold 10 gallons of gas. Well, 10 gallons of gas, that should last me a month. And I keep it in the shed, so it's out of the weather. A push mower, I got about an acre of ground. With a push mower, it take me 3 to 4 days to cut. Where a riding lawnmower takes me anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. But because I use a push mower, I can only cut but 10, 15 minutes and I have to stop for the day. So I leave it up to you and God, people. So I love you all. Thank you for subscribing. Hit the thumbs up. Get me up to 500 subscribers. And Steak, if you're watching this, have your people get me 1,000 plus subscribers. Because I watch your channel about every day. I like what your brother did, came in the bedroom and used the air horn and woke you up, and he went back and you was gone. But man, it's nice to have a brother and sister. It's very good who loves you and all this. So people, okay, goodbye. You all have a great Tuesday night or wherever you're at in the planet. So I'm just asking for the help, people. If you don't live in Clark County or Scott County, it's kind of hard when you live in another state. But if you got an Ace Hardware store in your state or county, the closest Ace Hardware store to me is Scottsburg, Indiana. They got my name on file, and I think they got my phone number on file. So, I'm asking, I don't want to leave my kids if I died of a heart attack. I don't want to leave my grandkids and great grandkids. So I guess great grandkids, I got granddaughters, they got kids, so it means I'm a grandpa and a great grandpa, all that. So I want to thank you all. I love you all. Peace, my friend.